XXIV. Beowulf is double conqueror. Beowulf grasps a giant sword. Then he saw mid the war gems a weapon of victory, an ancient giant sword, of edges a doughty, glory of warriors. Of weapons 'twas choicest, only 'twas larger than any man else was five able to bear to the battle encounter, the good and splendid work of the giants. He grasped then the sword hilt, knight of the Scyldings, bold and battle-grim, brandished his ring sword, hopeless of living. Hotly he smote her, 10 that the fiend-woman's neck firmly it grappled. And fells the female monster. Broke through her bone joints, the bill fully pierced her fate-cursed body. She fell to the ground then. The hand-sword was bloody, the hero exulted. The brand was brilliant, brightly it glimmered, 15 just as from heaven gem-like shineth the torch of the firmament. He glanced long the building, and turned by the wall then, Hygelac's vassal raging and wrathful, raised his battle-sword strong by the handle. The edge was not useless 20 to the hero in battle, but he speedily wished to give Grendel requital for the many assaults he had worked on the West Danes not once, but often, when he slew in slumber the subjects of Hrothgar, swallowed down 15 sleeping retainers, 25 of the folk of the Danemen, and fully as many carried away, a horrible prey. He gave him requital, grim raging champion. Beowulf seized the body of Grendel and cuts off his head. When he saw on his rest place weary of conflict Grendel lying, of life joys bereaved, 30 as the battle at Heorot erstwhile had scathed him, his body far bounded, a blow when he suffered, death having seized him, sword smiting heavy, and he cut off his head then. Early this noticed the clever carles, who is comrades of Hrothgar. The waters are gory. 35 gazed on the sea deeps, that the surging wave currents were mightily mingled, the mere flood was gory, of the good one the grey-haired together held converse. Beowulf is given up for dead. The hoary of head, that they hoped not to see again the atheling ever, that exulting in victory 40, he'd return there to visit the distinguished folk ruler. Then many concluded the mere wolf had killed him. The 9th hour came then. From the Ness edge departed the bold-mooded Scyldings, the gold friend of heroes homeward betook him. The strangers sat down then 45 soul-sick, sorrowful, the sea waves regarding, they wished and yet weened not their well-loved friend-lord. The giant sword melts. To see any more. The sword blade began then, the blood having touched it, contracting and shriveling with battle icicles. 'Twas a wonderful marvel 50 that it melted entirely, likest to ice when the Father unbindeth the bond of the frost and unwindeth the wave bands, he who wieldeth dominion of times and of tides, a truth-firm creator. Nor took he of jewels more in the dwelling, 55 lord of the wetters, though they lay all around him, than the head and the handle handsome with jewels, the brand early melted, burnt was the weapon, so hot was the blood, the strange spirit poisonous. The hero swims back to the realms of day. That in it did perish. He early swam off, then 60 who had bided in combat the carnage of haters, went up through the ocean. The eddies were cleansed, the spacious expanses, when the spirit from Farland his life put aside, and this short-lived existence. The seaman's defender came swimming to land, then 65 doughty of spirit, rejoiced in his sea gift, the bulky burden which he bore in his keeping. The excellent vassals advanced then to meet him, to God they were grateful, were glad in their chieftain, that to see him safe and sound was granted them. 70 from the high-minded hero, then, helmet and byrnie were speedily loosened. The ocean was putrid, the water 'neath welkin weltered with gore. Forth did they fare then, their footsteps retracing, merry and mirthful, measured the earthway, 75 the highway familiar. Men very daring bare then the head from the sea cliff, burdening each of the earlmen, excellent valiant. It takes 4 men to carry Grendel's head on a spear. 4 of them had to carry with labor the head of Grendel to the high towering gold hall 80 upstuck on the spear, till 14 most valiant and battle-brave Geatmen came there going straight to the palace. The prince of the people measured the meadways, their mood-brave companion. The atheling of earlmen entered the building, 85 deed valiant man, adorned with distinction doughty shield warrior, to address King Hrothgar. Then hung by the hair, the head of Grendel was borne to the building, where beer thanes were drinking, loth before earlmen and eke, for the lady. 90 the warriors beheld then a wonderful sight. These monige Jewerth, 1599, and Hafeth These Jeworden, 2027. In a paper published some years ago in one of the Johns Hopkins University circulars, I tried to throw upon these two long doubtful passages some light derived from a study of like passages in Alfred's prose. The impersonal verb dewjorden, with an accuse. Of the person, an athete clause is used several times with the meaning agree. See Orosius, Suites ed. 178-7, 204-34, 208-28, 210-15, 280-20. In the two Beowulf passages, the thete clause is anticipated by these, which is clearly a gen. Of the thing agreed on. The first passage, v. 1599, b-1600, I translate literally. Then many agreed upon this, namely, that the sea-wolf had killed him. The second passage, v. 2025, b-2027, she is promised. To this, the friend of the Scyldings has agreed, etc. By amending is instead of we's, 2025, the tenses will be brought into perfect harmony. In v. 1997 ff. This same idiom occurs, and was noticed in B's great article on Beowulf, which appeared about the time I published my reading of 1599 and 2027. Translate 1997 then, wouldst let the South Danes themselves decide about their struggle with Grendel. Here Southden is accuse. Of person and Guth is gen. Of thing agreed on. With such collateral support as that afforded by B. P. and B. XII. 97, I have no hesitation in departing from so, my usual guide. The idiom above treated runs through AS, Old Saxon, and other Teutonic languages, and should be noticed in the lexicons. Broden mail is regarded by most scholars as meaning a Damascene sword. Translate, the Damascene sword burned up. Cf. 2516 and note. Signing Balda, 1635, is the much disputed reading of K. And th. To render this nobly bold, excellently bold, have been suggested. B. Would read signing hold, cf. 290, and render. Men well disposed towards the king carried the head, etc., signabilda, says TB, endorsing GR.